Hello, everyone. My name is Brant Shacks. This is my program, Tearin Packs with Brant Shacks. You choose the pack, I tear it open and see what's inside. And along the way, we'll hopefully learn a little bit more about each other. As the saying goes, every trading card tells a story. Before we officially begin, I want to talk a little bit about my qualifications. I'm a collectibles expert specializing on non-sports trading cards between 1990 and 1999. I personally believe sports cards are an abomination of the medium, and I would love nothing more than to live long enough to see their end. I see we have several new friends in the chat. Hello. If I may ask you all a question, what is your favorite movie released between 1990 and 1999? I'll go first. Coming in just under the wire in 1999, my favorite movie between 1990 and 1999 is October Sky, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Chris Owen. Tells the story of a coal miner's son who didn't want to be a coal miner. He wanted to play with a rocket, and then one day he became a NASA scientist. I see we have some responses in the chat so far. Wizworld Live says Hook, which is an interesting film that I'd like to talk more about, but before we do that, I'd like to bring on our guest.
Hi.
Hello.
It's a pleasure to be here today.
Hello, Vanessa. It's Brant Shacks.
Hi, Brant Shacks.
You sound well today.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful day outside. 99 degrees.
Vanessa, you are a middle school teacher and you teach the subject of film.
I do. Film is my favorite subject. And I love middle schoolers. I'm so sorry.
No, I couldn't hear anything you just said because I was talking. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I really enjoy middle schoolers.
As a school teacher who teaches film, I do have to ask you our question today. What is your favorite film released between 1990 and 1999?
I'm so glad you asked, Brant. I'm going to have to go with Event Horizon from 1997.
Is that the one where the guy from Jurassic Park's in it?
He is, and he's basically put through hell.
His name is Sam Neill, I believe, and he has to be friends with an alien. Is this correct?
I mean, when it boils down to it, yeah, it's about him learning to be friends with an alien.
Great. I want to talk about one film that one of our viewers brought to my attention. And by the way, we will get to these cards. I just want to have this conversation first. Wizworld Live says that his favorite movie between 1990 and 1999 was Hook.
That's
have you seen this film, Vanessa?
Yeah, Hook is a real tearjerker.
I know Hook more as the origin of the soundbite below the opening seconds of the album, perhaps, I suppose, by the band Rufio.
Oh, yeah. Fun fact, the niece of Rufio was in the new movie Birds of Prey as the young girl Cass.
When you say the niece of Rufio, are you referring to the niece of the actor that played Rufio in the film Hook? Or are you talking about the niece of the pop punk band Rufio?
I was talking about the actor that played Rufio in the movie Hook.
Great. I don't know if it's too soon to devolve, but I'm quite enjoying my catchphrase being great, especially with the extra contextual knowledge of perhaps another character that's on this channel who has a much more interesting synonym for great.
Brant, I'm sorry, I never asked you. Are you doing all right?
We have so many cards here ready to be opened. But before we do, we have to introduce you to the packs in contention today. Once I show them to you, I will come to you to vote for your favorite, and that's the pack that we will open today. So Vanessa, if you'll join me, I am going to do the ceremonial pack flip.
Awesome.
We're starting with nice foil cover for Coors collector's cards, featuring 8 super premium cards per pack. This is released by the Coors Corporation, who releases the beer Coors. As you'll see here, this pack is from 1995. It is promotional in nature, but it does look like it was sold to people. So people paid money for Coors collector's cards. It's our first pack. Next, we have a classic here. If anyone was alive in the 1990s, they've seen this at a supermarket. Pro Set Superstars music cards, featuring 10 pop, rock, and rap music cards. Series was released in 1991, printed in the USA. It's our second pack for today. Now, don't vote yet. I know everyone's excited to vote. Don't vote yet. Because the third pack is Americana, 12 historic trading cards. This pack here is from 1992 by Starline Novelties. Something very special about this pack is it has an offer for an Americana Collector's Album, which expired on November 30th, 1992. I wonder what would happen if we tried to fill this out. The fourth pack today. ABC, All My Children. It's the popular long-running soap opera in the 1990s, and I believe it may still run today. What's fascinating about this pack, Vanessa, is how absurdly long the top seal is.
Oh wow, it's a good bit bigger than the others, isn't it?
Well, I have to admit something, Vanessa. I'm a little let down that you didn't stop after that was a good bit.
I'm sorry, Brant. It's also Brant. I'm sorry.
This is our fourth pack here. And last but not least in contention for today, and remember, if you're just joining us, you will be voting on which pack I will be opening, and we'll be taking a look at today. We have unofficial Beanie Baby trading cards, inaugural edition 1998. You'll notice the quotation marks around unofficial. I don't know if they're trying to denote that these are actually official, but they're practically unofficial.
You can win a rare beanie and other great prizes.
That's right. Something that we should note is that this series is organized by Les and Sue Fox, not affiliated with Tie Incorporated. It's our fifth pack. So I'm going to lay these down here. We're going to go to the chat here. While we're waiting for the votes to come in, Vanessa, have you ever caught kids doing things to each other behind the sports sheds or anything like that as a teacher?
It's so funny you bring that up. It was about 10 years ago, and I was just having a smoke by the bleachers, and I caught two kids, and they were just flicking each other's nipples, and I had to say stop. And
You had
that's
to. As a mandated disruptor of such activities, you had to tell them stop.
I had to tell them stop. I finished my cigarette first because I didn't want to waste my break, because we only get 10-minute breaks. But
every once in a while, I'll end a story by saying, but.
I'm sorry. I kind of I flashed back to when it happened. And as a teacher, a lot of those moments happen and you forget about them. And then you remember them and you're like, that was weird.
Speaking of weird, I've had Wiz World's Live's comment about Event Horizon feeded this Zeitgeist lately on screen this entire time. Let me take that off.
Hey.
So it looks like here we've got a heated tie between the Coors cards and the Beanie Baby trading cards. So I'm going ahead and clear the bench with these two cards here. We're going to have an old-fashioned tiebreaker here, Vanessa.
Okay. Paper, rock, scissors.
We're going to do finger nipple verbal command to stop.
Okay.
So on 3, we're going to need everyone, including those in the chat watching, to either be a finger, be a nipple, or be a verbal command to stop. And if we get more fingers, Coors will win. And if we get more nipples, the Beanie Baby trading cards will win. On 3. 3, 2, 1.
Nipple. You said on 3, but then you counted down from 3.
It looks like the Coors cards have won, my friends. You may have to tune into a future episode to see these Beanie Baby trading cards back in contention. So here, Vanessa, before we open it up, I remarked on the foil on this pack. It's one of the first things I see when I handle this is that reflection. What are your initial instincts about this pack?
I really like what they've done here because it looks similar to a can of Coors.
That's a keen observation, Vanessa. One I would likely not have arrived to without your assistance here. But this does very much look like a can of Coors.
It has the blue. It's refreshing. I want to take a sip out of it right now.
This is a refreshing pack of Coors collector's cards that we're about to open. Everyone watching, hate to burst your bubble, skeptics, but this is a 100% sealed pack. We're going to open it for the first time. Let's do this. Oh, look at that. Did you see how light it was? I just barely pulled and it just opened. That's the kind of opening you want to get on a pack of sealed cards. You don't want to have to tear any of the frenulum.
For a second there, I thought it was pre-torn.
Now, I know there's some controversy going around about pre-torn packs. However, this I can assure you the frenulum was fully sealed. I pulled lightly, and it unsealed itself, uh, almost inviting me in to see what the contents are here. So I'm going to very discreetly pull out the first card. Here we go. First thing I see is another foil-like material there. That gold border around an old photo. What? Oh my!
Wow.
Take a look at this. Are they standing in front of a little train, or is that a little keg?
It does. I think it's a case of beer and then a keg.
I feel like probably many people watching initially mistook it for a little train, but we are saying officially this is a little keg. And it looks like there's an unsettlingly high amount of children in this photo.
That was the first thing I noticed too.
Which I believe this is a group photo for plant employees at Coors.
That child in front looks 5.
So, as our suspicions were unfortunately proven correct, these are brewery workers in 1895. Adolf Coors, who I believe was their initial Coors, assembled his employees for this photo. They're choosing in the description to focus on the dedication and teamwork inherent in Coors employees, with no reference to just clearly a 3-year-old child sitting in the front row. Okay, Vanessa, do you see any defects here that I may have missed on this first look?
No, not at all. The edging is beautiful. I really love it. Looks sharp. Looks like good cardstock.
I'd have to agree. The way the edging just slipped out of the frenulum without completion. Of course, the term completion as it applies to trading cards is the end of the card's lifespan, which is when if you were to dent a corner or if you were to accidentally peel print from the card underneath it, you would say that the card has reached completion. But the edging on this is incessant and beautiful.
I'd call that card a win.
We have one win, folks. Now, as I open these, of course, I'm always interested in hearing what those watching at home, any details you notice that you feel like we may have glossed over, just go ahead and let us know. As I said in the introduction, my goal here is to hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about me and my guest, Vanessa, and we'll learn a little bit more about you. Now, I see here there's a bit of a sticky problem for this second card. I don't know if that's intentional. I know this is a beer company, and I know beer is sticky, but I don't know how immersive the experience they planned here. Second card here, we have Coors Golden Beer. Let's see here. It's a 1890s tavern sign. Now, doesn't 1890 seem so long ago?
That it does. I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed that it's got the exact same framing.
You would like them to have mixed up their series with the different borders.
I like a variety. Yeah.
Just 1890 just seems so long ago. I can't even conceptualize that. Like, I understand. I can see someone in my mind right now wearing roller skates, singing a disco song. But beyond that, it's just dark. It just goes dark. We have a question from the chat for you, Vanessa.
Oh yeah, Wizworld. It's funny actually. When I was in elementary school, I had the biggest crush on a boy, and he was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! So for Christmas, I asked for a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff and got a ton of cards and games so I could win his heart over. It didn't work, but my love for the cards stayed.
Do you still collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards to this day, Vanessa?
To this day. And I always remember the blue dragon, the holographic blue dragon was my favorite card.
Speaking
And
of blue and reflective surfaces, I'm noticing here that the Coors pack, as I'm opening it, of course, there's more space produced in between. But I'm noticing the handle of it it feels, and I don't want to alarm anyone, but it feels sporty to me. I feel like I'm holding a 1997 Flair Ultra Series 2 Major League Baseball pack. And I don't know if it's the introduction of this empty space that suggests a vapid nature that's triggering my sensory call to sports cards. But let's just move on here. Look at that.
Oh.
Unexpectedly, it's another card about beer. What we have here is, I'm assuming without reading the context on the back, that this is an introductory beer placed on your table at a restaurant.
Like when they shake it up a little bit before they put it on your table so that it explodes and gets foam everywhere.
But they place it on your table and they say, "Would you like me to pour your first glass?" And of course, they know it's been shaken. I just got an email.
From who?
I just got kind of a terrifying email.
Oh.
Let's see here. Embossed Castle Rock bottle. The early bottle features an embossed Castle Rock logo and a porcelain rather than cork stopper. So this was one of early prototypes of Coors beers. Let me ask you, Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best meal you've ever had at a restaurant?
Best meal I've ever had. I like a meal with a view. So me and my girls, there's this little Indian restaurant across the street from a male strip club. And so we'll order just a bunch of naan bread and just like watch from across the street. You get a little bit of wine in you and that naan bread goes down. It's like you're eating liquid when you eat it. It's magical.
Great.
Brant?
Yes.
Do you enjoy restaurants?
I do enjoy restaurants. Of course, over the last year, I've been to much less restaurants that I normally go to because of the COVID pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did have an exquisite meal, specifically a dessert. Outdoors, I was served a butter rum cake with just the flakiest crust and the most delicious buttery granulated insides that I've ever had. I don't know if anyone here is a fan of brown butter cakes. If you are, just let us know in the chat.
And I gotta say, Brant, if I cooked for you, I'd love to hear your critiques of my cooking.
I'd love to participate in a friendly critique of your cooking, of course, Vanessa.
I don't know why you put an emphasis on friendly.
This card here that we're pulling out here next is... First thing I see is maybe a townhouse. What does that look like to you, Vanessa?
It looks a little bit like a normal house.
You would not describe this as a townhouse?
No, I would say that's a normal home.
Okay. Look at that. A normal home.
I'd say it's one of those rich people normal homes.
Now, as you can see earlier, I alluded to card stripping here. The card on top of this caused this mottled effect. And therefore, as you learned, and this is a quiz, this card has reached in the chat. Go ahead and see if you can remember the term we used earlier in the program. The card has reached what? Go ahead in the chat. Let us know if you remember. So this is the Coors Mansion, a 22-room mansion constructed in the late 1800s. Again, late 1800s is so hard for me to just envision. I imagine it looks similar to this.
I can't imagine what you would need 22 rooms for in the 1800s.
The mind goes nowhere with the suggestion of that. Let's see here. Now, I'm starting to understand what you're saying here with sort of being disappointed in the over-consistent use of this full foil border. What I would have liked to have seen in the chat, if you agree with me here, let me know, is the cards to become progressively more blurry, misshapen, and aggressive as you get to the bottom of the pack. But it looks here like crisp, clean lines. There's that little bit of modeling, but pretty conventional fourth card out of the pack there.
And I'd say that's the worst one.
Wiswold Live has correctly guessed, which I guess it's not a guess if it's a... If you know the thing, it's not a guess. He says completion. The card has reached completion once it has been damaged in some way. Once usually the edging on the pack is not sufficient, it causes completion. But as we confirm, the edging on this is actually great. It's much the stickiness of these cards, which again, I don't know if that's part of the immersive experience of spilling beer on one's items. Now look at this. How are you with... are you susceptible to marketing, Vanessa, would you say?
Oh, extremely, extremely. I love commercials. I love advertisements. I love stealing. That's a coaster, right? I love stealing coasters from bars.
That's right. It's a tavern coaster. Now, you actually acquire coasters. Do you use them at your house?
No. Maybe this sounds silly to some, but I'm sentimental. So if I had a pleasant experience at a bar, I'll take home the coaster and put it in a box. I'll have everyone I know sign it so that I can look back at it and say, oh, yeah.
That's actually very heartwarming and a great idea, I'd say. Do you have a box with multiple coasters and each one has a memory with a group of friends? One night you shared together. That's
it doesn't
beautiful.
even have, yeah. I hope this doesn't come off as a criticism. I just have a question. Do you think hand size has anything to do with pack opening? Like a Pringle can, right. I have small hands, so I can easily get in and out of a Pringle can. So I'm just wondering.
You're wondering if it's the inverse is true, that the hand size will affect... well, I guess it wouldn't be the inverse because you're reaching into you're reaching into something. So it's actually pretty direct comparison. I have medium hands. So I'm least affected by hand size. However, I have seen some children, when opening packs, be able to reach all the way to the bottom and pull out what are those little things called? Let's see if you can see it here. You see that, Vanessa, in there?
I do, yeah.
You can pull out on the opposite end of the pack. There's a little piece of plastic. If you just pull down that, apparently it gives you it gives the pack an explosion unlike you've ever known. Let's go to this next card here. Oh, look at that. We have horses pulling a Coors cart. Now, it would be remiss of me not to remind those watching, whether you're here on the live or whether you're watching a replay, you can support my program here, Tearin Packs with Brant Shacks, and my lovely guest, Vanessa, by leaving a Venmo tip at Power Selling 101. That will go to us to make sure we are able to continue doing this program for you here, providing this service. Nice clean lines, as you can see there. There is that modeling. This card has reached its completion. One thing I'm noticing though here is some sort of land mass in the back.
Some beautiful mountain ranges. This reminds me, I was teaching my kids, I showed them Brokeback Mountain recently, and this environment reminds me very much of when they go fishing and camping.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, was Brokeback Mountain released prior or after 1999?
I would have to say it was released after. I can
Okay.
do a little fact checking real quick.
Please do. But factually, that is correct. I believe the setting of Brokeback Mountain was a mountain range, very much like this one pictured here. Another film that featured a mountain range that was released prior to 1999, actually after 1999 as well, The Majestic, starring Jim Carrey. That actually was the film that we watched the first night I ever placed my mouth on another person's mouth for pleasure. And
have you done that before, not for pleasure?
I have actually. I worked as a shine boy at a car lot, and occasionally we would have people who would go through our automated car wash and open their doors while the water was spraying, and they would suffer the effects of drowning. And I would, as the shine boy, I was first in line to have to rush in and resuscitate the curious but incapacitated customer who had opened their door in the middle of an automated car wash.
We call that a wash and go.
We have a comment here from Ice Cream Cone. He says, Mr. DeWitt, you went indie. And thankfully, Wiz World Live clarified that I am Brant Shacks, a completely different person than Michael DeWitt, of course. Thank you for that clarification, Wiz World Live. One less thing on our plate here as we procure these cards. Can you hear that, Vanessa? Did you hear that? sticky
The
crap there.
crinkle? Yeah. I think it adds some texture.
Now we have Adolf Coors, Golden Brewery, Golden, Colorado. This looks to be an old poster.
Do you think that was Coors' wife?
Let's see here. I feel like there are two kinds of husbands in this world. Those who are protective of their women, and then those that like them to go out and show it off, you know?
I know exactly what you mean.
And Coors seems like he'd be more of a latter kind of guy. And for 1890s terms, this looks to be a pretty salacious photograph of his wife.
I have to agree with you. It's quite scandalous.
Do you have a wife, Vanessa?
I haven't really dated much after I got in an accident. So a few years ago, I was biking and I got hit by a car, and the guy driving the car was my ex-boyfriend. So I just haven't really felt like dating since then.
There's some modeling here. So after that experience, you've shied away from entrusted your intimate side of your life and your physical well-being from another.
Yeah, I just don't feel like establishing trust with another person.
I think that's fair.
Brant, do you have love?
I do have love. I didn't mention this in my introduction, but I did grow up on a collectibles commune. My father was a member of not a religious group, but a aficionado group. We were very into collectibles, and one of the collectibles was Jessica Rabbit paraphernalia. And when I was 5 years old, I opened a box that said "Do not open," and when I lifted the lid, inside was a recreation of Jessica Rabbit's bosoms, but just the bosoms.
No head?
No head, no stomach, no torso. It was just the bosoms, and I don't know if it was because of my age at the time and my size, but they seemed to be larger than human size.
Did you say it was Jessica Rabbit's boobs?
That's right.
How did you know if her head wasn't attached?
There was an imprint on both boobs, a red imprint that looked like two rabbit hands. And when I squeezed them, a cartoonish sound effect happened.
What was the sound effect?
It sounded like a bunch of coins falling out of a slot machine. Of course, that was a dead giveaway. Gave away my station at the time, and my father, Pog, and the rest of the group ran in, and I was forced to go 2 weeks without being able to play any board games or any, those little, how you used to be able to play like a handheld edition of Bingo or Yahtzee.
Yeah.
Like a lot of older people would have those in their homes, sitting next to their couch. You could just play Yahtzee on like a little handheld device.
You weren't allowed to play with those anymore?
I wasn't allowed to play with those for 2 weeks or any board games. If you see here, we're down to our final card, Vanessa.
I'm a
This is
little
always
sad. Yeah.
it's always a sad moment when you get to the end of a pack. So let's go ahead and reveal this here. I see what looks like a painting. The conclusion card in this pack is a painting of a waterfall. The same modeling on every card other than the first, if you'll notice there, Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
Scenic waterfall sign number 1. I guess there is a set of more than one sign. And this is number 1. Now I'm noticing this here, Vanessa. Do you see this here?
21 means 21.
Coors products are for adults. 21 means 21.
Huh. So, I gotta say, after going all through these cards, I don't want a Coors.
You feel like the experience of opening these cards has dissuaded you from enjoying a Coors.
Yeah. It makes me want to go out and take a hike, but
What if I told you that someone paid money for these cards in 1995 of their own volition?
well, how much did you pay for them?
These were donated to me. Let's see here. Trying to see if I can pull the... Nope, my hands are too big. I'm not able to pull that tab down there.
See, and I think my hand would be able to.
Well, unfortunately, we can't make that happen tonight, Vanessa. And I'm sorry that you were dissuaded of any notion to enjoy a Coors. I believe that's probably not what they were aiming for when they released this premium card set in 1995. If I had to pick my highlight card of this pack, I might have to pick the coaster card.
Wow, yeah.
And I'll be honest, it's because of the story you told about collecting coasters on a night out with friends, having each of them sign it, and then keeping that as a memento of a good time.
That really means a lot, Brant.
Do you have a favorite card, a highlight card that you've seen tonight?
I think my favorite, it's between the young woman and the exploding beer.
The young woman and the exploding beer.
Because I love a good laugh, but I also love a beautiful woman.
That's right.
And she does. I look at her and I say, what is she selling? Because I want to buy it. I was looking up. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead, Vanessa.
I was going to say, I looked up Adolf Coors, and he fell / allegedly committed suicide by leaping from the 6th floor of a hotel.
Holy. This is what a way to go.
Sounds like he was murdered.
Do you think knowing what you know about the Coors Beer Company, 1890s institution, do you feel that he was perhaps involved in some less than savory business deals? Do you think it was perhaps a lover that pushed him out that window? Do you think it perhaps was a drink that had been shook too much startled him off of his balcony over the ledge.
It's actually the very first card. That little boy in front. Maybe he grew up.
This boy here?
Yes.
You're saying maybe he grew up and settled the score, so to speak.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Isn't that chilling? The innocence. He looks so innocent in this photo, and then to imagine him exacting retribution in such a bloody, violent manner.
And that's what's beautiful about these cards, because they're capturing moments in time, moments of history, so we can look back and say that little boy did it.
Great. Thank you for that, Vanessa. I'm ecstatic that you could join us here for our very first Tearin Packs with Brant Shacks. I want to thank our viewers, especially those in the chat who voted for this Coors pack. I think I learned a little bit more about you, Vanessa. I hope you've learned a little bit more about me.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely feel like I've learned a little bit more about our viewers here, and I think I can go to sleep happy tonight.
Me too, Brant. Me too.
Do you have any plugs? Do you have any films you're teaching in the classroom coming up?
Yeah, next week we're gonna do Solo. And yeah, if any viewer wants to come by, I teach on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Yeah, and I get to show the whole movie, and then we're gonna do discussion afterwards.
What was
Please
the
come
name of
on
the movie
by.
you said? Solo?
Solo? Yes.
What film is that?
Oh man, it is. You would probably love it, Brant. It's also called. Well, I won't say what it's also called. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much in case someone comes to my class.
Okay.
But let's just say it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of suggestive content.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us, Vanessa. It's great
Thank
to
you,
hear
Brant.
your observations, and I hope you'll join us again soon, and we can open some more packs together here on Tearin Packs with Brant Shacks. Do you want to say the motto of the program with me together?
Of course. On 3.
1, 3, 2, 1. Every
trading card
tells a story.
tells a story.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.